This author wrote about an old woman who refused payment to a thieving doctor because she couldn't see her belongings. In other stories by this man, a mouse saves a lion from hunters and a farmer kills a goose that lays golden eggs. Another of his tales teaches that slow and steady wins the race. The Tortoise and the Hare and The Boy Who Cried Wolf are by, for 10 points, this ancient Greek author of namesake fables. And the answer is Aesop. John Keats wrote a poem about George Chapman's translation of this author, who wrote about unfortunate characters who eat Helios's cattle in one of his works. This author wrote about the wrath of Achilles and about Penelope, the mother of Telemachus, who undoes her weaving every night as she waits for her husband to return to Ithaca after the Trojan War. For 10 points, identify this author of the Iliad and the Odyssey. And the answer is Homer. A character in this play is said to have chanted snatches of old tunes after falling out of a willow tree, and another character warns an actor not to saw the air too much with your hand before a performance of The Murder of Gonzago, which is staged for King Claudius in this play. Gertrude is the mother of the title character, who causes the death of Ophelia by pretending to be insane. For 10 points, name this Shakespeare tragedy about a title prince of Denmark. And the answer is The Tragedy of Hamlet. A character in this work refuses a marriage proposal from St. John and doubts Alice Fairfax, who blames strange sounds on Grace Poole. Mr. Brocklehurst causes the death of Helen Burns, whom the protagonist meets at Lowood School in this novel. Bertha Mason was the first wife of Edward Rochester, who eventually marries the protagonist of, for 10 points, this novel by Charlotte Bronte. And the answer is Jane Eyre. This novel's protagonist follows a mysterious noise to a doorway hidden by a tapestry. The first friend that character makes is a robin, who she learns is also the companion of Ben Weatherstaff. An orphaned girl goes to live with her uncle at Misselwaite Manor, where she learns to enjoy playing outside after being given a jump rope by the mother of Dickon. Frances Burnett wrote, for 10 points, what novel in which Mary Lennox discovers the title location? And the answer is The Secret Garden. This speech notes that America has given a bad check, but its speaker refuses to believe that the Bank of Justice is bankrupt. This speech hopes that the Table of Brotherhood will join together the sons of slaves and slave owners, and that the speaker's 4 little children will be judged by the content of their character. For 10 points, name this speech given at the March on Washington on August 28, 1963, by Dr. Martin Luther King. And the answer is I Have a Dream. The people of this literary nation do not pray because they have everything they need, and they clothe their guests in hummingbird down feathers. This country's people use red sheep as pack animals, which they give to Candide when he leaves this nation. This small mountain-bound country was abandoned by the Incas, and its children play ring toss with emeralds and rubies. For 10 points, name this mythical South American city of gold. And the answer is El Dorado. In The Theory of Composition, this poem's author explains why the poem's prophet seems like a demon that is dreaming but can only say one word. The speaker asks the title creature to return to night's Plutonian shore, but it stays on the pallid bust of Pallas in his room. This poem's speaker laments the loss of dear Lenore, while the title bird repeats nevermore in, for 10 points, What Poem by Edgar Allan Poe? And the answer is The Raven. In one work by this author, Mr. Guest recognizes 2 characters' similar handwriting, and Danvers Carew is murdered. In another work, Squire Trelawney hires Captain Smollett to lead a crew that includes young Jim Hawkins and the pirate Long John Silver in a journey to the title location. For 10 points, identify this author of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde and Treasure Island. And the answer is Robert Louis Stevenson. A character in this novel says he is going to America before shooting himself, and Lebetyanikov reveals the framing of Marmeladov's daughter. Svidrigailov is shot at by Dunia in this work, which sees Porfiry Petrovich's mind games and Sonia's urgings provoke the protagonist to confess the murder of the pawnbroker Alyonia Ivanov and her sister Lizaveta. Raskolnikov appears in, for 10 points, what Fyodor Dostoevsky novel? And the answer is Crime and Punishment.